What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 tips for taller and slower wide receivers to be able to get separation. So we're going to be talking about how you guys can use your size to your advantage and be physical at the top of the route to get open. Then we're going to talk about how you guys are always a vertical threat downfield and create as much separation as possible with your stem. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it teaches you a few new things, and we're also going to talk about how you guys can improve your catching and traffic ability, because that's what bigger guys have to do. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver, tight end, and you guys want to get some work in with us this offseason, we have 2 more opportunities for our 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camp. So next up, we're going to be traveling out to Salt Lake City, Utah, and then lastly, we're going to be coming out to Los Angeles, California in the month of July. So if you guys are local to those cities, want to come get some work in with us, we always appreciate you guys coming out from our YouTube community. So check out that very first link in the description below. Let's get started with this video. So now, first things first, this is going to be a diamond release slant here from George Kittle. So now I included a couple clips from Kittle because I think he's one of those guys, obviously on the bigger side of things, obviously maybe not as fast as some NFL corners, but he's still able to get separation. How is he able to do that? So this diamond release, a lot of times as a wide receiver, you can't be afraid to be physical, especially if you're a bigger guy, slower guy. You're going to be going up against guys who are very quick. But what you have to your advantage is size and being stronger and being more physical. So that's what we have to use. So anytime that I have to run a slant route against whether it's maybe inside shade or a head-up DB, I want to use something called a diamond release. If I'm a first read slant, you can use something a little bit slower, but I like the diamond because you can be physical. So what a diamond release is 3 steps on like a 45-degree angle, trying to get this DB to bail out, trying to get him to open up his hips so I could slip back underneath. Now, if you're like a quicker wide receiver, a lot of times they can get away with taking those 3 steps and just breaking off the third. DB's already opened up, they can just slip underneath and go run. But a lot of times being a slower guy, you're going to have DBs who are in tight coverage. So what do you need to do? And that is something you got to utilize, and that's called a throw-by technique. So when you guys break off of this third step, this inside hand, you want to put it either the back of the DB's shoulder or the back of his hip. So a throw-by move is great for bigger guys because now when you put the brakes on, let's say you got the DB to open up his hips, this is a way to kind of control his momentum. Almost like a basketball player working a crossover, and with his off hand, he kind of gives that little nudge to the defender to get his momentum going. So when you guys break off of that third step, we swap by, we're aggressive, and that can get you some separation and get this DB to be off balance. As a bigger guy, we cannot be afraid to be physical. As a slower guy, you have to be physical because that's the only way we're going to be able to get separation. So you have to know how to run your route to set yourself up for this throw by, number one, but also be able to use it. Now, a lot of things that guys will do is when they take that diamond release, they'll run, they'll get this DB to turn his hips, but they'll put their hand on that guy's shoulder before they even make the break. That's an indicator of what you're doing, and that DB is going to be able to sit right at that third step. You go here, 1, 2, 3. That is when you throw by. It's like almost like you're pushing off of a wall to slip back underneath. Now, when we do this, a lot of people think, oh, that's a flag. You can't push off like that. It's not a push. You obviously can't push him in the back. But if you just kind of swat by, use his momentum, you keep your elbows tight to your frame like so, you're not pushing him, you're just swatting him. That would be considered hand fighting, and especially if it's within 5 yards, completely fine. Now, how else would you use this on other routes? Because obviously the slant's an easy one to understand. So like, let's say, as bigger guys, we like to run a lot of routes over the middle, right? So like, let's say you're running like a 12-yard dig and you have inside leverage, press coverage. That is when you would use this. You would attack his leverage to the inside. You'd take off vertical. That DB would be right on your hip pocket. You get his hips to commit, and then bam, we could swat him by with my left arm at the shoulder or the hip. Those are the 2 points of control to where we could get separation. So fellas, as a taller, bigger wide receiver, you got to be physical, and you have to make sure that you have that throw-by move in your tool belt. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. This is a great route here by Kittle. It's a great job getting separation. And after we use that throw-by, fellas, you better make sure that we are accelerating out of the break and widening the distance with the DB. All right, so now another example we're going to be looking at from Kittle here is he's going to be running this kind of like stuttered go. And the reason why I include this is to know that taller wide receivers, maybe on the slower side, bigger guys, you can still sell vertical on your routes. A lot of people get me confused. Like they'll say like, oh, well, that's easy for this guy to run this route because he's fast, right? Selling vertical is not about being faster than the DB. It's about running as hard as you can. So on every single route, whether it's a 3-step slant like we just looked at, or whether it's a stutter go, what do we have to sell? Number one, you got to make it look like a fade at a certain point, whether it's for 3 steps on a slant, whether it's for 5 inside steps on a comeback. You have to make it look like a fade. So as a bigger guy, you got to understand that you are always a threat downfield because you always have that threat of that jump ball, that head top catch, and no DB wants to get embarrassed like that. So if you guys can run routes with great stride length, great body language, you can get a ton of space. So let's play this thing full speed. So Kittle comes out full stride, full speed, and he's able to make that quick change of direction to get that DB to sit on this double move. Now, this could be considered maybe like an out and up, maybe like a stick nod route, maybe like a stutter go. Any of those 3 still require you to sell fade going into it. Or even if he's going to be running and just breaking on a dig, breaking on an out route, it requires you to sell vertical. To get this DB to bail, you have to make sure that we have long strides in the break and a good pad level. When it comes down to selling fade, fellas, you just got to run as hard as you can. You have to keep the same stride and you have to keep the same pad level. It's about being a salesman. It's not necessarily about being faster than the guy. So when we come off here, you see Kittle, there is no change in his pad level. There is no change in his stride. That puts the DB on alert. That's making him think that you're running a fade. And so when you do decide to change direction, you do decide to drop your hips, that can really put this DB on alert, try to get him to drive on the ball, and we could get separation. But it all starts with making the routes look like a fade. Because if we can consistently have that same pad level, that same stride, he's going to be playing a guessing game because he doesn't know when you're running a fade. But against a bigger guy, that DB always has to honor the fade. He can't just sit there and let you run right past him. He has to honor it, and that's why you can't be taking choppy steps leading into the break. Keep the stride, keep the speed to always have him on alert, especially as a bigger guy. You do not need to be faster than the DB to create separation. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Kittle maintaining the stride, giving that quick little stutter to get that DB to bite and overreact because he sold vertical so well. All right, so now last clip I want to talk about here is from Travis Kelce. Now, obviously, I know we're showing a lot of tight end clips, but at the end of the day, fellas, like if you're a tight end especially, you're going to have to be able to run routes. And if you're a bigger wide receiver, like this directly applies to you because if you're not the fastest guy but a bigger guy, tight ends are guys that are great to study and great to see how they play the game. Now, the best tight ends, the best big wide receivers in the game, taller guys, slower guys, they're always in tight coverage, but they always end up making the catch. So what are some things that can help you make catches in traffic? And that's what we're going to talk about in this clip. So let's play this thing full speed. So Kelce does a great job. Outside release, gives a little fake. Now he's got double coverage over the top. Going to be taking a shot, catching this thing in traffic. One of the keys, obviously, is your eyes. If you're familiar with any of the videos that we make, whether it's about catching, whether it's about anything, I always talk about your eyes. You want to see the ball hit your hands. Your eyes are the main key on any catch, wide open, traffic, jump ball, diving catch. It's always your eyes. But can't think about your eyes in a game. Obviously, it's got to be an automated habit. So that's something you want to worry about when you're training. But when you are in traffic, one of the main keys as a bigger wide receiver, when you catch that ball, we have to put that thing away quickly. Because again, when you're over the middle, it's in traffic. What do you think this guy's going to try to do? He's going to try to hit you as hard as he can, probably legally, sometimes illegally if you're not playing in the NFL, and going to try to knock the ball out. So we have to make sure we secure it. So it's got to be a catch, and it is violent to the tuck. I catch this thing, I secure it. I'm putting it away quickly because this guy's going to do whatever he can to knock that ball out. So fellas, we're over the middle. It's a jump ball. Bigger guys are always put in those situations because obviously we're that vertical threat, like I was saying. You have to catch and put the ball away violently. You want to catch it, then be violent to the secure of the ball so that DB has no chance to make a play. Sometimes guys will do exactly what Kelce does right here. They'll put their body between the defender and the ball to secure it. They'll almost turn their shoulder and dip. That's completely fine. But let's secure it, make sure we look it in, and be violent to the tuck with my hands. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Kelce making this catch, double coverage, and securing that ball so nobody makes a play on it. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. Always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you'd like to come out and train with us, we have 2 more opportunities to do so this offseason. We're coming out to Salt Lake City and then Los Angeles. So again, if you guys are local to those areas, would like to work with us, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.